a smile for me. Lately I've been so lonely, and a smile from you might make these blues go away. A smile from you might make these blues go away.
Mic check. Can they hear me? Can they hear me? Can they hear me? I think they can hear me. I think they can. My levels sound good. What about you, Bunny?
My levels sound good too.
Great, great. Well, in other words, I mean, and, if all the levels are good, then let's get it cracking. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Operation Hero Talk. It's your boy, highly blessed, highly favored Demetrius Starks in the building, along with my beautiful co-host, Gaki Bunny, who is dressed like I'm going to say, lichen?
Good try. No, I'm actually going to be working on a photo set here after we're done tonight. So I'm going to keep it a secret for now. But if you guys want to see the pictures, you can always check out my Instagram. I do post some of all of my pictures of like each photo set that I do. But I'm really excited about this one because this one definitely is like one that I had been wanting to do for a good while, and like I was just waiting to get the right stuff, and I just got this brand new like shadow root white wig, and I was like totally feeling it. So I was like, okay, it's time to do this.
Facts. No, absolutely. So yeah, definitely go on Gaki's page and check that out when you guys get a chance. But as you all know, this podcast is for the nerds and the nerdettes, the weebs and the weebettes. We welcome you back. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. Thank you all for liking our page, our Instagram page, Facebook page. We will be setting up our page on TikTok very soon, probably by the end of this week. So you can expect videos to start popping up on there very soon, very quickly. And also, this video will be available next Friday, and last week's episode will be available tomorrow morning. So please check it out. If you're following us on YouTube, hit the bell. You'll know when we drop a video. You know, I'll say that shit to the end. So let's get right to it. Let's get right into it. I'm ready to dive right in. So, as you probably know, because you looked at the title and you're not an idiot. Today's episode is about a villain. It's DC week. And we decided we wanted to do something a little bit special. So let me go into my usual speech, and then I'll go into, we'll talk. So it's funny because a self-aware person will know when jealousy is taking over, right? But a narcissistic person doesn't really understand that feeling. Hear me out when I say this. If you are so wrapped around the idea that you are supposed to be the savior, not because you have any powers of any way, but because you have resources, because you feel in your heart of hearts that the world should look up to you, that they should follow you. I know this is sounding kind of Trumpish, but still, like you feel like the world should follow you because you are simply the best. No proof behind the reason why you're the best, but you just are. But then suddenly somebody comes along and proves, well, you're really not that special. Because you're just and I'm relating this to the character that we're about to talk about today. You're not, you're a great businessman. You've built a $1 billion empire. Can't put that past you. But I do this because, and I'm taking the perception of, I'm taking the role of Superman here. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. Not for money. Not for, the fame. None of that. Just because when somebody needs help and I can do something about it, I do it. Now, while some people will say, oh, well, that's great. That's awesome. Good job. You have those out there that say, you are a fucking fraud. and I'm going to expose you. Not because I honestly, in my heart of hearts, feel like you are lying, but because I can't handle the fact that you are telling the truth. And because you're telling the truth, it doesn't matter how much money, resources, or any of that BS that I have, I will never be better than you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what brings us to our episode today on the bald man himself. I really couldn't think of a better insult than that. The bald man himself, the man in the suit, the man who wears a suit very often, the man who is seriously sipping on that haterade. I'm referring, of course, to Superman's arch enemy, Lex Luther, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh no, I'm disagreeing with you. Yeah, like he's definitely, when you think of the DC world, you have Batman and Superman, of course, and who do you have for them? Like their arch nemesis. You think Lex Luthor right away for Superman, and you think the Joker right away for Batman. So again, another iconic figure, and we're gonna keep knocking these out of the park because we have so much to talk about. But this guy in particular, like he definitely is an interesting character, and the way he's been presented throughout like the different reboots of Superman is really interesting as well. So I can't wait to dive in.
No, absolutely, and we're gonna obviously save the movie to the. I got a couple clips I want to play. We'll save the movies to the second part after the break. But you're absolutely right. We're guys now. If you're listening to this, we can break down straight facts about how this character was developed and out and how it came along, how the idea came along, and we'll break that down in the second part of the episode. But for now, we're just going off of what we've seen and the ideas that we've came up with just based off what we've seen. Now, I'm going to come to his defense here for a second because it's interesting. It's interesting. Everybody loves the Joker. Why? Because he's the Joker, right? He's the Joker. There's too many reasons. You can't not like the Joker. But if we really think about it, Lex Luthor has done not on a catastrophic scale, right? I could argue that the Joker. Well, you can't argue. It's fact. The Joker has killed way more people than Lex Luthor because he's just wrapped around this obsession of killing Superman. But some of the things that Lex Luthor's been able to accomplish, they don't get talked about enough. They don't get talked about enough. Like he's done some things that make you say like, wow, like this man is really keeping up with supervillains. And it's like, okay, where if this was Joker, right? Yes, him being psychotic, and the chemical bath that turned his clown face permanent. That helps him kind of enter that supervillain area. But Lex Luthor is a supervillain, but he's human. He's 100% human. He's not enhanced.
No, he's not. And you know what's so great about him is that like he's a perfect example of nature versus nurture, right? Like nature, like he's a genius. First of all, he's an evil genius. No matter how much you might hate him or whatever, you can't deny the fact that he's super intelligent. Number two, he has resources that like everybody only dreams of. Number three, he's a like technology wise, he is able to build something that puts him on par with Superman. Mind you, Superman is like indestructible basically. But there's so many things, and again, nature versus nurture. You have so many different variations of his backstory. But one of my very favorite, and it just kind of goes to show you that like you really do need to be careful how you're treating the next generation, is the backstory of how he became bad because he was always seeking for his father's approval. He was never good enough for his father, and he sees Superman as this next thing that is going to like steal the spotlight. So of course he's always been kind of that like I'm gonna claw and get whatever attention I can get. And it turns him and it warps him into this villain. And it's like really crazy to see because I don't know about y'all, but I've had to me where I'm like, you know what? If I had made a different decision right here, I could have ended up that supervillain. That I could have ended up that person that is just like batshit like craziness.
No, I think we've all come to that crossroads at one point or another. But I want to dive deep into that. I want to get a little bit more deep into what you just said because it brings up a great point. It brings up a great point about the father background, and that kind of goes into the scene that I'm gonna play for the audience in the for the listeners in the second part. I'm gonna play that, but going back to what you said about the father's approval, right? I got to prove that I'm great. So, what do? I do all these things. And eventually, I do prove that I'm great. People are looking at me and they're saying, yo, you are. Oh, let me turn my volume down a little bit. They're saying, yo, you are a just the best thing since an egg white omelet, right? You're awesome. But he's like he's embasked in all this glory. But then comes Superman. And I can't say it's a classic sense of jealousy because I've been jealous before. It's a human emotion. Never to the point where it made me want to put on a battle suit and destroy half a city. Okay, it's never gotten to that point unless somebody like cuts in front of me at Burger King or something. But other than that, right? It's really just a sense of like what y'all what y'all proud of this dude for? What has he done? Save 1,000 people? I have a freaking $1 billion company. Okay, you should be worshiping the ground that I walk on, not the ground that this guy doesn't walk on because he flies. Right? So it's like,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, he's powered by the sun. Whoop de doo. This is a $3,000 suit. Okay.
3,000. I feel like you're
I probably
underselling
am.
him. You know.
I probably am. But this is 100% Fosace. Okay, this is Italian knit, and yet I can't get no love over here. I keep my head freshly shaved. I keep it. I don't. There ain't a hair on my body except on my eyebrows, but I can't get no love around here. Okay, let me use some of these resources and put y'all in the danger zone, and then we'll see who's really to be loved. See, it got to the point. It got to the point where it's like, yo, I don't even care anymore. I just want to kill this dude because I don't like him at this. Like, I just don't like him at this point. It started what started as I'm gonna prove this guy is a hypocrite. That somehow evolved into I just don't like this guy. I'd like not that I just don't like this guy because that's kind of the stage before. I hate this guy. I hate everything about this guy. It's like Miami versus Notre Dame in the 80s. They just didn't like anything about each other. Football story for another time. Anyway, like you like
Funny that you mentioned the 80s really quick because I don't know, like again, let's go a little bit back into Lex Luthor's history, right? So he first shows up in the comics sometime in the 40s, and again rebooted different times. At first, he's just like this playboy millionaire person. In the 80s, he starts getting portrayed as this powerful CEO, this genius with tech and all this kind of stuff. And then in the 90s and 2000s, we see him become kind of like an anti-hero almost in a way, where he would team up with Superman at times, and you would see him. Smallville is a great example of him being that anti-hero, right? He starts off, he's Superman's best friend, and then like he begs and he wants Superman's approval to the point where it turns him crazy, and then it's Superman is now everything that is opposite of me. If you love Superman, you hate me. You're my enemy. So it's again, it's that evolution of this character that I absolutely love, and the madness that comes from the pure hatred that he feels for this man that is doing nothing but existing and helping people is mind-boggling.
Well, we'll expound a little bit more on the differences between the different Lex Luthers, because you can take the reins on the Smallville. I've never actually watched Smallville, but what I will say is the motive is completely understandable. Not saying I agree, but I understand it, because how many of these villains have come from bad homes or broken homes? Too many of them, right? But one of the things I like about Lex Luthor's character, life lesson alert on the way. He had money, he had riches. The shit doesn't matter. If whether you grew up in, I don't know whether you grew up in a rich suburb or whether you grew up in the fucking Bronx, doesn't matter.
Okay. It's Manhattan or the Bronx, yeah.
Whether it's Manhattan, yeah. Thank you. Whether it's Manhattan or I did that accidentally. You cleaned it up for me. I appreciate it. Whether it's Manhattan or the Bronx, it's about what you do, and we all have. Not everybody's gonna come from it's not a storybook ending. People aren't perfect, right? That's a given. So, to his credit, he did something with it. He made things better, right? The problem is that think of it this way. And I'm going to say it. It's going to sound like I'm defending him, but I'm not defending him. I understand him. Think of it this way. What would you do? How would you feel if you wanted to build a bike? You wanted to build a motorcycle. You have no mechanical experience whatsoever. So you work your ass off, learning the proper skills, acquiring all the tools, all the knowledge to build this bicycle, to build this bike, and to get it operational. And then you become widely known for doing that. You've got a trade. You're doing this, right? You're good at it. And then somebody comes along who can do everything you can do, right? With less effort, more easy, right? Less effort. So less effort, and people adore him or her for it more than they adore you. Not because of it doesn't have anything to do with the bikes. It's just about he can do it easier. So all of that work, all of that hard work that you worked your tail off for years acquiring, and putting in the work, putting in the hours to build this into something amazing, it's not validated anymore. Now people don't give a shit because there's this over here. You may feel some type of way about that.
And and that's a really good example. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I know that you walk into work, even like at a simple place like work, right? You come in, you bust your behind every day to do the very best you can and everything, and somebody else walks in and they just effortlessly can do everything you can do, and it takes them a fraction of the time, and they just they don't even break a sweat with it. And so it's like, I feel like everybody can relate to that. And that's what's so great about so many of these DC characters is that they're so human. They're so relatable. Like, the bad guys are bad guys because the world turned them into bad guys. Society turned them into bad guys. Their own jealousy, their own demons turned them into bad guys. Something that we can all see happening in society today.
No, you're absolutely right. One thing I want to build off on that, on what you just said, is because we all know we know the streets, right? We know the streets, specifically me and you. I don't know if any of our listeners know the streets, but if you do, okay, do you know what I'm talking about? But we all know the streets. So I agree with you that society can turn us into bad guys, especially when we feel we don't have a choice. I saw this shit all the time in Chicago. I'm pretty sure you saw it in Cali. You've seen it in Wisconsin, right? I've seen it here too. So I get you on that. But what Lex Luthor's character shows and proves is that you don't always got to come from a place of poverty to turn into a bad guy. Doesn't have to happen.
It doesn't. You don't, and that also proves that, like, we always talk about, like, oh, my struggle is worse than yours. Your struggle is like nothing compared to mine. Like, it doesn't matter, like, what your struggle is, because it's still a struggle. And what is worse to you about one thing may be different for me. Like, something you're saying is like super bad. I might be like, that wasn't that bad. Take pain, for example. Pain tolerance. I know some people that have a crazy pain tolerance can sit there and get tattooed all day long, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna fall asleep. And then I know other people that cry like a baby the second it starts. It's really, there's so much range, and no one's struggle is worse or better than somebody else's. Everybody's struggle is valid. And like the fact that we see, again, this guy that was basically born with the silver spoon in his mouth, struggling and going through this, like, it's great. It shows us that, you know, it says exactly what you just said, that it doesn't matter your economic status or what, like, you can still be, underappreciated.
No, I agree. I I don't know how many times I've heard somebody from my old neighborhood, whether it be an uncle or a friend's uncle or dad or something, say the real criminals they wear the suits. The real criminals wear the suits. These thugs that you see out here slanging these nicks and dimes out here, that ain't nothing compared to the white collar criminals. And I remember there was a scene in a movie that I was watching. What was it called? I think it was the newer version of Superfly. It was the new version of the Superfly movie, and the main character said to this guy who he had loaned some money, he was trying to get it back from him. He said, "Look, I don't care how many gangsters you know, and like you are 6 months behind on your mortgage payments. I don't care how many gangsters you know, ain't nobody more gangster than a bank." I was dying laughing because I was like, "That is so freaking true." Like, look, what you gonna do to the bank? You gonna shoot the bank?
Right.
Like,
Look at Wolf of Wall Street. Like, this man made billion, and the funny thing is that stuff happens all the time. Like, people make billions and steal. Like, I'm not saying like nickel and diming. I'm talking billions of dollars that they're able to get their hands on by being just a little bit crooked.
no,
You telling me that that's a little bit worse than the person
no,
down the street that stole your bike because they tried to get lunch?
no,
We're not. It's not the same.
no, you're absolutely. It's not the same whatsoever. You're not the same. It's not the same. And that dude was running a pump and dub scheme, which was like the one of the most scummiest things you can do. But anyways, but you're right. To the listeners, relating this back to Lex Luthor. Okay, we're saying this to say that there are of course there are people who say, "Oh man, if I had that much money, I would never have turned evil." No, wrong. Remember, it wasn't the money that turned him evil. It wasn't. It he runs. He runs a business, right? Now in any business, sometimes you are going to have some ethical quorums, something that's going to test your ethics. And so I can't 100% say, because I haven't read a lot of comics. I haven't read a lot of Superman comics, so I don't really know a lot about his business practices as far as it relates to the comics. But just going off the personality and off who he would later become in the more modern versions of Lex Luthor that I've watched and read, Yeah, it's hard for me to it's hard for me to imagine that he runs a squeaky clean company. I don't believe it not one iota that he runs a squeaky clean company. Some part of it is crooked.
It's funny that you say that because for those of you that do read the comics and do know some of more of like the historical Lex Luthor, like yes, he's this billionaire playboy, but one thing that gets missed a lot is that he's a big philanthropist in these comics. Like he is it may not always be for the right motives, but he's helping people out of their debt. He is, making sure kids are getting to school. He's making sure that the city is running better, that it's running cleaner, that it's running like all these things. So in a way, like it's like you said, it's not squeaky clean. It's not squeaky clean, but he is like in his own way, like trying to make the best out of like best for everybody while he still comes out on top.
Now watch this. Yeah, now watch this because you just brought it back around full circle, which is great because this is. I want to say this before we take a break. Thank you. You're absolutely right. But that's why he's mad. Listeners, listen to me. That's why he's upset because he got credit for it. He got credit for it, right? But it wasn't on the level that Superman got when he started saving people. It's like, hold on. Yes, okay. He saved 100 people from a burning building. Not arguing against that. That's cool. I'm with that. That's bull. Okay? That's cool. It's cool. I'm not a blood. But it's cool, right? Like, but what about the thousands of kids I put through school? What about the hundreds of millions of dollars I gave to charity? Did y'all just forget that shit happened?
The farms that I saved from going under.
What about all these jobs? Like yes, I may have got my company to the top using some pretty shaky moves, but I have paid that back tenfold. And all of the love that y'all have given me for years now suddenly disappears because this motherfucker in tights flies into Earth and saves a kid from a cat from a tree. I could have used a ladder. Like I could have bought a ladder company. Like so it's like so what we're trying to do to those who are listening or watching this is we're trying to bring you into the mind of this man and why he made these moves that he made because Superman to him like basically how can I say this? He basically like unknown Superman doesn't he's not trying to do this on purpose, right? He's unknowingly shitting on him. And what makes it worse is that he has superpowers and Lex can't top that. He can't. He's human. He can't top that. You can build as many battle suits, as many droids as you want to. You don't have superpowers, and you will never have superpowers. And Superman gets a whole nother level of love just based off that. So kids want to be Superman. They want to be him. They want to save the world. They don't want to be some dude with a $1 billion company that wears a suit. I wouldn't mind that, but that's because I'm an adult, right? The kid, like, I understand the kid. That's a different calculation. That's a different risk, right? But kids don't get that. So the kids love it. Their parents love it, and all that love goes towards Superman. So Lex is like,
he's mad.
He's like, bet.
He's mad.
He's like, bet. Okay, bet. All right, watch this. I'm gonna spray some green kryptonite dust in your hero's face. Watch him go crazy. And he actually did do that. I remember this very specifically. I think he used some pollen from some hypnotism dust that he got from poison ivy, and he mixed kryptonite in it, and he actually used it on Superman, and he used that to hypnotize him. Straight up out of the box thinking. Can't knock the man for that. He definitely can think outside of the box. But yeah, Bunny, anything you want to say before we go on this break?
Yeah, I mean, like, basically what it amounts to is this guy just keeps getting the rug pulled out from underneath him by Superman, and Superman is just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this rug got caught on my foot. Let me keep walking." Like, it's just like not phasing him. But you also have to respect that out of all of Superman's villains, like he's definitely the one that always seems to be able to get Superman to, you know, feel just a little bit of fear, feel just a little bit more human. And I feel like, the kryptonite definitely adds to leveling that playing field. Um, but, one thing that you cannot, again, I've said it before, you cannot take away from this man that he is a genius, something that Superman is very much not. So, again, everybody plays to their strengths, and then unfortunately, um, Lex is human, but super genius is still super, you know?
No, yeah, and before we go on this break, I just want to say something. I was talking with a couple friends of mine, and they were talking about who were Superman's main villains, and for some reason, beyond me, it was the big three. Obviously, Dark Seed, obviously, uh, uh, Brainiac, obviously, and but the third one, this fool had the nerve to say. This dude had the nerve to say Doomsday. I'm like, no, 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 hell no, no, no. Doomsday don't get them kind of privileges around here. No, there's nothing sophisticated about Doomsday. He is a monster, a a monster built to destroy. Whoop de fucking do. There's not no. The third one is Lex Luther. Put some respect on the name, and let's move on. Now, with that being said, we're gonna take a short break. Okay, we're gonna take a short break, and we're gonna come back right after this ad. All right, I got to work on getting you on the ad. We're gonna record an ad at some point together, so we can put that on.
We got this.
Yeah, put that on the podcast. Yeah. So we're gonna come back after a short break, and we're gonna get into these movies and TV show scenes, so that you guys can, if you're watching the YouTube channel, you can get a visual of what what we're watching. Also, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start putting the audio from the scenes in the actual podcast, so that way you guys that are listening on the podcast can hear what we're listening to and watching as well, just so it don't sound like there's a gap. All right, but stay right there, take a short break, listen to this quick ad, and then come right back. All right, peace. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that short, I believe it was 40-second ad. Welcome back to the podcast episode. This is actually, Bunny, I meant to tell you that at the beginning of this. This is actually episode 13. So the last one was episode 12. So this is episode 13, Lex Luthor, our episode on Lex Luthor, breaking down his character. So now that it's the second part of the podcast, we are going to get into the movies and the TV shows and kind of break down these characters. And Bunny, please feel free to take it away. I am going to let you talk. I'm actually anxious to hear this. I want to hear about the Smallville Lex Luthor, which what was the name of the actor that played him? Do you know, or do we gotta look it up?
Oh, I don't know, but we
Yeah,
might have to look it up. Wonderful version of Lex. Let me look him up really quick.
Yeah,
or
look
if
it
you
up.
don't mind looking him up, I can start letting everybody know about this guy. So, in ooh, I'm reverberating a little bit. But in the version of Smallville, right? So Smallville is basically Superman before he was the hero, right? This is Clark Kent as he's growing up and his adventures as a high school student, a college student, a new journalist. We all know that Superman is a journalist for the Daily Planet. Um, and we see a version of Lex Luthor that is probably one of my favorites because he is very much this anti hero type of personality. Um, Starts off by happening, he's in the middle of a cornfield, asteroids come. What do they have? Kryptonite. What happens? He loses all his hair except for his eyebrows. And he becomes this. Um, child that is affected by the kryptonite. Now, a lot of people would argue that the kryptonite is actually what spurs his intelligence. And again, I feel like there might be a little bit of truth to that, but at the same time, this man's drive is phenomenal. Now, in this version of um, Lex Luthor, he's played by he plays a slightly older character compared to Superman, and he's Superman's best friend. He literally would go and spend time on the Kent farm, and he made sure that the Kents were taken care of. And in the beginning, you really do almost love Lex Luthor as a potential like good guy. If you had never seen Superman before, you would go into this and you would be like, Lex Luthor, I like him. He's gonna be Superman's right hand person. If you had never heard of Superman before and watched Smallville first. But as the story goes, and as we've seen in all the different storylines, right, he starts going a little bit crazy, and he starts envying Superman, and he starts thinking about everything that Superman is that he is not. And in this version, we see his father, Lex Luthor's father. He's always kind of like talking down to him. He's very much creating this person and um, honing and like nurturing the evil thoughts and the evil and the not so squeaky clean type of way of running a business. He's very underhanded in the way he runs things, and Lex, as much as he tries to run away from that, unfortunately, he eventually falls prey to the way that his father is, and he becomes the bad guy, goes crazy, and eventually gets blown up while in his suit. And, he's kind of like gets lost in the series, which is kind of sad. We see that in the Smallville series, we see that he has, a sister. He had a mom that died that because she's gone, the father went and he became this evil man and treated his kids very poorly, and just wasn't a really good or present father. And he's just in this one, he's just telling Clark, you know what? I already know you're Superman. I know you're Superman. Don't lie to me. Just tell me that you're Superman, and we can go back to being friends. We can be best friends, and we can use our powers together to make this place, to make this world a better place. But of course, Clark Kent, being who he is, hiding his secret identity, and you know, also in the back of his head being a little bit weary of where Lex Luthor is coming from, um, does not reveal that. And eventually, he finds out because we see Clark Kent going and making that transition to Superman. He's using his superpowers, and Lex Luthor sees him, and here he is. Um, and then it's just one of those, I knew it. I told you. You should have just told me from the beginning. We could have been best friends. We could have done so much better if we had worked together. Um, and you can't help but feel bad for this guy that he started off as the best friend. He had his demons, and he was literally begging Clark, "Hey, throw me a bone. I already know it's there. Like, just throw it to me." And he just doesn't. So I think that's part of the reason why we love Lex so much, is because again, he's so relatable. I don't know about you again, but we've all had that friend that like you go above and beyond for that friend, and that friend just never quite measures up. So again, one of my very favorite versions of Lex, amongst a plethora of other ones. If you have not watched the Smallville series, you definitely have to watch it. Dimitri, did we get his name? Did we get the actor's name? Because he was an excellent Lex Luthor, and I feel like anybody would have to measure up to him.
We did. His name is Michael Rosenbaum.
Michael Rosenbaum, yes. I mean, he was actually in a couple of other things too, but as far as it goes, definitely my favorite version of Lex Luthor, and one that I wish had continued and continued to grow.
No, I mean I have to take your word for it. I never, like I said, I never saw an episode of the show, but what I will say is that we see a similar theme, right? When it comes to, we see a similar theme with that where it comes to the father. And I'll see if I can find a scene of the asteroid in the cornfield from Smallville. See it, and I'll put that in the episode and podcast, etc. Y'all know what's going on. But I see that a lot of similarities in that Lex Luthor, as far as the treatment of the family and the toxic family life, but which leads to different paths that end up at the same outcome. Because it sounds like from what you're saying that the Michael Rosenbaum Lex Luthor, he wanted to escape that past, his father's mistreatment, and he did want to make the world a better place. He was just like, look, man, hey, look, I just, it's okay, you can tell me, I promise you I'm not going to tell anybody, but from a risk standpoint, and it's messed up because if I'm in that position, I probably don't tell him either. And you make decisions, you have to deal with the outcomes, both good and bad, of that decision. The positive, he kept his identity a secret. There was never a guarantee that he wasn't going to spill the beans at some point. And so, it's a situation where it's like, I don't know if I can trust you, so I can't say it. Right? But wanted to be noble. But compare that to Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor in Batman versus Superman. There was no nobility. It was mainly a situation where it's like, this is good drink that I covered up because we can't brand them. They ain't paying us. But he's seen. So let's take the events of the first Superman movie, which was equivalent to watching paint dry. The damn near the whole city gets destroyed, right? Damn near the entire Earth gets destroyed by those gigantic ass terraforming machines. So that's not enough to sway Lex Luthor into hating Superman. At least not at that point. It was mainly just a sense of, he was probably a little bit jealous that he could do that, to be honest with you. Yeah. So it's like, damn, bruh. Like, I mean, I don't got enough power to destroy a city. But using that as fuel to get the people's perception, to get negative ideas into the people's views of Superman, especially with the guy that used to work for Wayne Industries, and he messed up his leg. Yeah, you know the story. He played this perfectly. But what I want to do is I want to play you a scene, because I feel like this scene, amidst the mess that movie was, okay, I feel like this scene was the lone best scene in the movie, because what it did was it explained perfectly every single Lex Luthor character. You could even argue it explains the Smallville character, even though they were coming from a totally different angle on that. So let's go ahead and play that really quickly.
Clark, Joseph, Kent. See, what we call God depends upon our tribe, Clark Joe. Because God is tribal. God takes sides. No man in the sky intervened when I was a boy to deliver me from Daddy's fist and abominations. I figured out way back. If God is all-powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he is all good, then he cannot be all-powerful. And neither can you be.
That's it. That explained it perfectly. That's the game. That's the game. That's the entire Lex Luthor game. If God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he is all good, then he cannot be all powerful. Because if he is all good, then he is Fundamentally flawed. And if he is fundamentally flawed, he cannot be all powerful. That is the entire motive behind Lex Luthor trying to prove that Superman is a fraud, that he's got some type of evil in him, that he will snap, that he is capable of imperfection just like any other person. And this hype and BS that y'all are bringing around me, oh, Superman this, Superman that, shut it up. I'm gonna prove y'all wrong over here. Check it out.
Exactly.
Just watch me.
Exactly. You know, and again, it just goes back to saying, like, he's like, I'm gonna prove that everyone's human, including him. Everybody has that flaw, including him. So if y'all can love him and he has flaws, why don't you love me? Why can I not get this love and respect and adoration and all the clout that comes with it? No, he just doesn't understand. He just doesn't get why anybody would choose Superman over him.
I would just put it like this: if I could have a conversation, and y'all know I'm about to say something stupid. How you doing, Lex? Sit down. Look, I know you've written a bunch of angry letters. Oh, I'm Superman's PR representative, by the way. I know you've written a bunch of angry letters. I know there was this unfortunate incidents with the Kryptonite and you trying to kill my client. But you got to understand something. He's not perfect, okay? He'll admit that to you. He's literally sent you letters back admitting that to you, okay? He gets angry like everybody else. He was raised by humans, but you have to remember, he's not human, technically, okay? So when you're in this moment where you're angry, just remember that you are actually hating somebody who really, in no way, shape, or form, besides the fact that he looks like a human, he's not the same as you. Do me a favor, okay? My time is money. Write me a check for $10,000. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go get on your mega yacht, the biggest one, not the second from biggest one, the biggest one. I want you to go get on the biggest one. I want you to head to Aruba for 10 days, okay? Get you a nice manicure, get you a nice shiatsu massage, okay? Get you some girls, some women, you know what I'm saying? Or men, I don't know how you swing, and just relax, okay? Relax. Don't even think about Superman. I don't want you to stay here. Okay, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna knock a monster into your building and it's gonna fall anyway. It's gonna take your overhead price up. Why deal with that type of stress? You know?
Absolutely.
So take a break. Go take a week, a month. You're rich. I don't care. Go do whatever you want to do and just don't worry about Superman. Would that work? Hell no. Because he is literally obsessed with Superman. See, it's come to the point where it's an obsession at this point. It's an obsession at this point. And I'll see if I can try to find this particular scene as well and put it in the movie. But in the YouTube video. Excuse me. But I believe there was a scene where Darkseid came back. He had been gone for a little bit. And he was literally like he was piecing Superman up. And Lex Luthor saved him. But he didn't save him to save him. He saved him to be like, yeah, hey, hold on, bro. The only person that's going to kill him is me. So
like he has this complex, right? Because it's like, on the one hand, he hates him so much. He wants him gone. He wants to get rid of him. He tries several times to literally kill him with kryptonite. Uses his one known weakness in multiple ways to damage him. But at the end of the day, he's like, it's like, that big brother that's like, oh, you can't pick on my little sister. I can pick on her because she's my little sister, but you can't pick on her. And that's what Lex Luthor is doing. He's like, I could kill him because he's my superhero that I'm going to kill. Like, he's my arch nemesis. You can't kill him. I'm not gonna let you kill him.
No, it's funny, and I meant like not Superman. Lex Luthor really doesn't have. Lex Luthor doesn't have friends. But it's almost interesting.
He has business associates.
And I may be wrong, and I want you guys to comment on this because I could be wrong on this. But if I recall correctly, Lex Luthor has some type of, I don't know if it's an admiration, I don't know if it's an obsession. He has something going on with Brainiac. There's something going on between him and Brainiac. I don't know if it's a friendship. I don't know if he idolizes him, but I know there has been some interaction between the two. I'm not really knowledgeable about exactly what it is. I just remember, actually, it actually relates to the episode I just explained of I believe that was either the Superman show. I don't think it was. I think it was the Justice League. It was the Justice League show. I remembered this very vividly. Lex Luthor was actually trying to bring Brainiac back, but he ended up bringing Darkseid back. But I don't remember why he was trying to bring him back. I don't know why. So could be something there. Could not be. Maybe I'm tweaking. Most likely not.
No, you're definitely not. I feel like Lex Luthor kind of feels a sort of kinship almost to Brainiac because they're, again, these both very intelligent people, right? Like, they're both very intelligent beings. And I feel like maybe he just resonates a little bit closer with Brainiac. It's almost like it's funner because now there's somebody else that understands the way I think, type of. I guess that's how I kind of would take it. But again, let us know in the comments. Like, let us know what you guys think about, their whole interaction, because they do interact a couple of times. So I'd love to hear what you guys got to say.
Okay. This is the part of the the episode that I did not want to have to get to, but we got to do it. We got 10 minutes left, so I'll expound a little bit. Okay, people, listen here. All right, I know. Okay, I know. I have heard jokes for days about the Batman versus Superman version of Lex Luthor, and most of them I thought were hilarious. But what we have to remember, okay, is that you can't make fun of one character when the whole movie was shitty. Okay? So it's like I mean, could Jesse Eisenberg have done better? Yes. Should he have been cast in that role? Probably not. But the whole movie was ass. So it's like really like what do we gain by attacking his portrayal of that character? I'm gonna be honest with you. What I did appreciate though was the I don't give a shit attitude that he brought to the character. Like in the sense of, yeah, like everybody's like, that's not how Lex Luthor would act. Narcissistic, rich, very aware of his resources, thinks that he's doing the right thing even when he doesn't like being told no. Yeah, that's Lex Luthor. That's fully Lex Luthor. So, as far as the attributes and what the character is all about, oh yeah, he nailed that. It was the dialogue. Some of the dialogue wasn't there, but hey, did he write the script?
One of the things, and we're probably going to run across this whenever we talk about any other DC characters in the DC movies, what they currently are, right? Because these are all reboots. Superman has been done a million times, but in this specific version, in the DC world that we know, modern movies coming out today. Um, the writing is just lackluster, right? It's very flat. It's very um like you don't get deep into these characters. It's not written for you to fall in love with these characters. You in these movies are coming into them knowing the characters, and you're just seeing what cinematic stuff that they can put it to. Like they literally are taking the comic book and like being like,
Yo,
here you go.
I want to
And
introduce.
doing
I hear you. I totally hear you. I want to introduce. I want to show you. I want to tell you something really fun. I thought was really funny. When I first, not the first, the second time. The second time I watched the Batman versus Superman movie, I realized that the only thing I took away from that movie was that Bruce and Clark's mom had the same first name. I was literally sitting on my couch. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. This movie is ass, but that's an interesting tidbit. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I completely agree. You know, it again, it just goes back to like it's not a very in-depth script. They're not trying to introduce you to these characters and make you fall in love with this new version of them. They're expecting you to know a version that's out there. And this is just the 2 hours of how much action can we pack into this one movie that has absolutely nothing to do with these characters and what their storylines have. Like that's what it comes down to. No offense to any of the actors that have portrayed in these movies and stuff like that, but I mean, there was a lot of potential for these, and again, it just comes down to the writing. The writing was just not there.
Right, and that's specific to the movie. Now, guys, what you got to keep in mind, and I have said this on multiple episodes. I said this in our very first episode that I did with my special guest Michael Lima, when we discussed Superman and how he's a hero of a past time. What I said about in the Wonder Woman episode, guys. I don't want to yell, so I'm gonna get in. This is the part of the podcast where I'm gonna get into my smooth voice. This is the opposite of yelling because I really feel like yelling, but I'm not going to. Besides Batman, DC characters, heroes, don't have good villains. Not good villains. They don't have interesting villains, and that is a fact. Okay, Darkseid, yes, very, very powerful. He's boring. Brainiac, intelligent. He's boring. Lex Luther, Superman obsessed. He's very, very smart. He's come up with some clever tricks, but all in all, he's boring. So when we're talking about, if I told you, I'm running a little experiment on y'all real quick. If you're listening to this, say this out loud. If you're watching this, say it out loud to yourself. Say out loud the first villain from DC that comes to your mind.
Okay.
You hear what she just said? I guarantee you, I guarantee you, most of y'all said the Joker, or you said Lex Luthor because we were talking about it in this episode. But that's the point, and I'm not gonna restate what we've already said in previous episodes. You can go back and listen to it. We'll put a link to the video, but it's hard to make movies, and it's hard to make live action movies on the backs of non-interesting villains. It's different. Do you realize that do you realize, and we're gonna get back to Lex and finish this out. Do you realize that in that Batman versus Superman movie, they literally made the main villain the not most powerful, but literally the most badass villain they could think of in the DC verse besides Darkseid, who they were planning on, right? Because, oh yeah, Doomsday. Well, he's the only guy that's ever actually killed Superman. And the audience is like, okay. It's like what do we know about him? Like, okay. Like, you made him from the body of a dead Kryptonian. Okay. I don't really care. That's not interesting at all. Like, that's not interesting at all. It's cheap. Like, it's cheap, to be honest with you. So what I'm saying is, it didn't have a chance. Go ahead.
He didn't have a chance, and that's part of the reason why it was kind of a flop. They just didn't do anything to give this character a new breath of life. They just took the character that was out there and threw some stuff on a screen. But kind of to counterpoint that, and I really do hope you guys all check this out. Smallville, make sure you check it out. I've watched it multiple times because it's a great series. But I will say that the one thing that series does really well is it does give you a little bit more on those Superman villains. It's probably the best version of the Superman villains that you're probably going to get.
If that's the case, I'm gonna have to check it out. But with that being said, if I could say one positive thing about Lex Luther, then I'll go back to being an asshole. I'll say this. To continuously try to expose somebody as a fraud. No. Scratch that. Rewind it. To come up with the clever ways to get Superman in a weakened state, to make him literally bend the knee, to literally have almost succeeded in killing this man multiple times. I gotta give him credit for that. Because not a lot of people have gotten there. And I think that we all have to realize that Lex Luthor's not stupid. He realizes that, at any point, but it's kind of the same dynamic as Joker and Batman. Hear me out. It's like Lex Luthor realizes that, at any point I realize you can like snap me like a twig, right? But if you do, you would just be proving my point. So I'm going to fuck with you literally until I croak, because I know you will never, ever get rid of me permanently. If you put me in jail, I'll escape or I'll get out, and I'll be right back to we will be right back to our regular scheduled program next week. So there's no escape. There's no escape. There's no escape. The only way that Batman got rid of Joker was when he stopped being Batman, and Joker just lost interest in being a villain until he came back. It wouldn't work the same here in this situation, mainly because it's that recognition that he still wouldn't want. So it would probably arguably be worse, because with Superman gone, and we saw a little bit of this when he got killed by Doomsday in the comics. With Superman gone, Lex Luthor's like, yo, I'm still here. I'm moving and grooving. What about me? It's like, no, we miss him. Oh, I can't win, can I? No, you can't. No. But you knew that, though. You're a villain, dude. Like, you're a villain. Just accept it. So go and take another sip of that haterade. And going back to your mega yacht. You should have listened to Superman's PR. And with that being said, thank you everybody for listening. As you all know, we always appreciate you guys tuning in every week. I saw on the stats, on the statistics on the website where we have our episodes posted, to where we get them out to multiple platforms. Anchor, you guys listen to the ad in between the break, and we put it at the beginning of this podcast as well. I saw that we got some people listening in from Germany, Brazil, the Dominican Republic, of course the majority from the USA. Shout out to my peoples. But at the same time, We appreciate all the listeners from everywhere. We are glad you guys are tuning in. We're glad you guys are listening. Going to be doing a lot more promotions, a lot more collaborations. And hopefully, as this new year comes in, everybody, strives for what strives for what they want, has some success. I can tell you right now, I'm doing my thug fizzle. I wanted to have a podcast. Bunny wanted to have a podcast, and she wanted to get into to cosplay. We both doing the damn thing. So yeah. So just going to show you that nothing's impossible. The only thing you need to do is get your ass up and do it. So with that being said, as usual, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the bell so you'll know when we drop a video. We're going to be dropping these weekly. If you're listening to us on Spotify or podcast or Apple Podcasts, anywhere, go ahead and leave a comment, rate the podcast, let us know what type of episodes you might want to hear, what type of villains or heroes you might want to learn about, and we'll make sure we get that content out to you. Bunny, any last words?
Just the usual. All our socials are going to be linked down below, so make sure you guys follow us. We love hearing from you guys. And again, this podcast, we made it for you guys. We want to see you guys enjoying it. So if there's anything that you guys want to come in, if you're an expert on a specific character, a specific villain, a comic book, an anime, whatever it may be, let us know. Like, come in and talk to us about it, because we love to get down to the nitty gritty when it comes to the nerdy stuff. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for all the love. Para los que hablan español, muchas gracias por estar escuchándonos y para darnos tanto amor en nuestros podcasts. Again, thank you. We love you guys. And with that being said, y'all have a great night. Enjoy your new year. Be safe out there. And know that even if you have nothing else, you can always come and we can nerd out together.
You heard the lady. Peace from the Middle East.
Make a smile for me. Lately I've been so lonely, and a smile from you might make these blue